Everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's kick this thing off. Listen, today is all about chronic stress. Today is all about how to prevent premature death, disability from chronic stress. So I'm super excited to have y'all in today. We're currently live streaming on YouTube. We have the Zoom room filling up for our private Q&A that's going to happen immediately after. And I'm just so excited for tonight's lesson because tonight is so pivotal because it's all about what happens when you ignore the signs. It's all about what happens when you ignore the signs. So welcome in. Hello, everyone. Let's get into today's lesson. I have a lot to share and a lot to teach. And so I'm hoping and praying that you guys are all here with clear hearts and clear minds as we get into what happens when we ignore the signs of chronic stress. So I recently sat down in an interview with my coach, Dr. Eric Thomas. And so today I'm going to share a clip with you guys from that conversation that I think is going to really resonate with a lot of you. But before I share that clip and we get into the physiological impacts of chronic stress and how that can really do damage to our bodies, our minds, I first want to share with you guys why I do this work and a few areas in which I've personally eliminated chronic stress. So I have been a coach now this is my 11th year coaching. And what I know for certain about this work is that a lot of you are dealing with stress. A lot of you have health challenges and health issues, but you're also dealing with a crap ton of stress and not realizing that a lot of your health challenges is coming from the stress that you're dealing with. And because of that, what happens is you guys try to eat right, you try to start exercising, drinking your water, doing all the healthy things, hoping that it will correct the high blood pressure, the weight issues, hoping that it will correct the aches and pains, the insomnia. And we don't realize that even though we get results and we move the needle a little bit, what often happens is that we find ourselves going right back to where we started because we didn't realize that at the root of our weight gain, at the root of our high blood pressure, at the root of our aches and pains was stress. And so I'm going to teach you today what it looks like and what it means to not just manage it anymore, but to finally go all the way and eliminate it. Now, I know many of you don't even recognize that elimination is possible. So I'm going to start with myself. And I'm going to give you evidence of what's possible because I do understand that sometimes it can be extremely difficult to believe something different, right? And so before I can teach you the how, well, coach, how do I eliminate stress? Like, how do I take my health back? How do I take my power back from food? I'm an emotional eater. I'm an emotional drinker. I'm an emotional spender. Like, how do I get back in the driver's seat of this thing? The first thing I have to do is teach you what to believe. So if you've never been to one of my classes before, this is what you need to expect. Before I tell you what to do, I always teach you how to think. Because one of the things I know about humans and human behavior is that it's very hard to permanently change our behavior if we don't permanently change our belief systems. Does that make sense, everybody? Now listen, we're in a Zoom room, y'all, and I know I'm teaching before we get into Q&A, but just throw some ones and some hearts in the chat if you know that, yep, I've tried to change my behavior without changing my thinking, and I always end up back in the same place. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Wanda. Okay, good. I always go back from whence I came when I start with the behavior and I don't start with the mindset. So the first thing that I need you guys to believe in order for tonight's conversation to be the most impactful for you is I need you to believe that it is possible to eliminate chronic stress. If you're willing to just entertain that notion for a minute, just drop "it's possible" in the chat. If you're here in the Zoom room with me, drop "it's possible." If you're watching on YouTube, just drop "it's possible" in the comments. Like, if you're willing to believe that, you know what has always been doesn't always have to be. If you're willing to believe that, just drop "it's possible" in the chat. Coach, I've only been taught how to manage stress. I've never really been taught, like my doctor ain't mentioned it, my great grandma ain't mentioned it, like my bestie and all the chats we done had with her smart self ain't mentioned it. Like, nobody has told me that I can eliminate this stuff. Everybody's checking in on my management techniques. So I'm coming in as your new internet coach to teach you you that it's possible to eliminate and not just manage the things that's killing you slowly. Thank you, Valerie. It's possible. Okay, very good. It's possible. Not Terry said it's so possible. Okay, very good. So the first thing we need is an agreement that it's possible. Okay, now that we have that, let me tell you how I know. First area of my life that I eliminate chronic stress was in my health. In 2012, I was working as a social worker for the state of Michigan, y'all. And I had a very, very important job. You know, when Child Protective Services took the children out of a home, I was responsible for working with the child, the biological family, as well as the foster family and the state to possibly get that child reunited with their biological family. Now, as you can imagine, this is very, very, very important work, which means you always need to be on, you always need to be present. You don't want to make a mistake, like you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with families, you're dealing with real situations. Like, this is serious stuff. Now, when I was a social worker, I knew it wasn't my forever career, right? It's honorable work, but it wasn't for me forever, right? But child, when you're dealing with a court system, welfare, families, foster families, hostile biological families, because they mad because you the problem for taking their kids. They ain't did nothing wrong, right? When you're dealing with all of that, you can imagine the amount of stress that can come with a job like that. And at that time, when I was working for Oakland County for the state of Michigan, the caseloads were really high. And so the caseloads were really high, which means I had way more on my plate as a social worker. My caseload was much, much higher than it should have been. So as a result, y'all, when anxiety came up when it was time for me to go to court, because anytime I had to go to court as a foster care worker, I would get a little anxious. And so when that anxiety came up, I would get nervous. I would stress eat, right? I would feel the anxiousness in my body. And after so many years of feeling that and using food to soothe that, I'm gaining weight. And it came a point where I was super insecure about my body. I mean, I was constantly thinking about what I looked like. Can anybody relate to that? I know I got some people here who like, oh, I know what it means. Just put me in the comments or in the chat. I know what it means to be feeling constantly conscious about my body, conscious all the time of what I look like, conscious of how my clothes fit, conscious of what other people are thinking of me. Child, these love handles, all these things that didn't make me feel confident in my body. Not to mention, if I'm eating junk and I'm overweight, I don't even always feel good. So not only am I conscious of what I look like physically, the feeling wasn't comfortable either. Okay. Malika said, sure can happen to me. Shanika said, yes, ma'am. Okay. Wonderful. And so finally, one day, y'all, I decided to corner my coworker, Tiffany. Now, when I say corner, I must admit I'm a bit of a bully a little bit. Like I kind of demand out of life what I want. So I saw Tiffany in the break room one day eating this parfait. She was fit. She had the calf muscles, the arm muscles. She always had her little business casual outfits on, looking real good. And I said, Tiff, do you eat the same thing every day? She said, I do. And we got into a conversation about health. One thing led to another. I found out she was a personal trainer. I booked my first session with her, and the rest is history. The first area that I eliminated stress in was in my health. I started with Tiffany, went on to lose over 60 pounds, and it changed my life. Somebody put in the comments, mental real estate. Just don't ask what that means yet. Just trust me. Mental real estate. Just put it in the comments. Mental real estate. Now, I know we have enough people in the room right now where I know that some of you guys are in the real estate business. And so you understand in real estate, it's really about taking up space. You understand in real estate, it's really about ownership, right, of your piece of land. Well, baby, losing weight for me was me buying back my mental real estate. Because remember, I told you guys I used to spend so much time thinking about my body, thinking about what I look like, thinking about what I felt like. And I finally did something about it. I decided to not just manage this feeling, I decided to eliminate it. And I hired a coach. I got a personal trainer, started changing the way I was eating. Lo and behold, I lost the weight. And baby, listen, if I didn't have to stay in the camera right now, I'd stand up for y'all can see this body, okay? Let me tell you something. There is no better feeling than body confidence, especially if you're somebody like me who is on stages all the time. Y'all be seeing the clips on Instagram. I'm constantly in front of people. I'm constantly speaking and teaching. I'm constantly in these streets. Somebody booked me for the stage, baby. I got to put my little black number on in these pumps because you got to look like the product you sell and do. And so, honey, I bought back my mental real estate. Now, some of y'all proud of yourself because y'all buying real estate. But what would it look like to buy back the mental real estate where the thing that's stressing you out is no longer taking up so much space in your mind? Come on, I'm a real estate developer. Come on, what would it look like? What would it look like to no longer be consumed by the thing that's currently consuming you? I just want you to imagine that for a minute. Because let me tell you what it felt like to be down 60 plus pounds. I could wear whatever I want to wear. I don't have to layer my clothes no more. When I date or when I'm out or when whatever, I feel super confident in what I look like and what I feel like. And that's not even talk about, that there's no more aches and pains. There's no more discomfort. I'm not out of breath trying to walk up a flight of steps. I eliminated the stress. I decided not to manage it. Somebody give me a round of applause. Let me see if I can. Y'all see this belly shirt I got on? Don't play with it. Don't play with it, okay? I didn't come to play. Mental real estate. I see everybody trying to buy their first property, their second property, their third property. Girl, the first thing you need to buy is this. Get that mental real estate back. Whatever's taken up space in your mind to put a down payment. What they call it, where's my real estate developers? And what you got to put it in escrow. Consider tonight's class your first escrow payment and buying back your mental real estate for whatever is stressing you out. Just, I don't know all the real estate terms, okay? But consider tonight the down payment on you buying back your mental real estate. I'm sick of thinking about my body. I'm sick of thinking about my health. I'm sick of thinking about how much I hate my job. I'm sick of thinking about my marriage being in shambles. I'm about to eliminate the stress that I only thought I needed to manage. Come on. Wet. Wet. Okay. All right. Second place, I eliminated chronic stress. Okay. Lisa, center yourself. Okay. The second place I eliminated chronic stress was in the area of my career. Now, I told y'all, stressed out, social worker, child welfare, like a lot. It's a lot. Now, it's honorable work. I have people very close to me, including my mom, who are social workers today. Okay. So it's very honorable work, but when it ain't for you, it ain't for you. Now, clearly, if you ain't been on here longer than 30, clearly you see that this is for me. Like the speaking, the teaching, the coaching, this is my jam. Give me a mic and I'm going off, right? So clearly I am where I'm supposed to be. And so what happened was, as I was entertaining the idea of leaving my 9 to 5, my state government job where I had benefits and a 401k and all the razzle dazzle that they tell you you're supposed to have in order to live a somewhat decent life. As I was entertaining that, I was also wrestling with the fact of this like job security thing and what am I going to do instead? And y'all, I really wanted to travel and see the world. And so I decided that I was going to start applying for federal internships to live abroad. Well, lo and behold, because I'm God's favorite, I got my first choice, right? So I applied for the federal internship. I said my first choice was to live in Rome, Italy, and work at the United States Embassy. And of course, your girl got it because favor does what favor does. And so I got the internship, but then I went to my job at the state of Michigan because the internship was only for about 3 months. And so I went to my job and I'm like, yo, I'm about to go live in Rome real quick, real quick. I'm just going to hop across real quick and I'll be right back in about 3 months. Can I have my job when I get back? Like, I don't want to be paid. I don't want to pay leave. I don't want to take no time. I just want me to hold, just want you to hold my job and tell me that when I get back stateside, that I'm going to have a job. And they said, absolutely not. And so I had a decision to make. Now, this is the point where you pause and lean in because some of you are at this point right now. For some of you, your stress is not your health or your body. Your stress is your 9 to 5. Your stress is your job. Your stress is your career. And for a lot of you, you're choosing to stay where you are because of the fear of the unknown. Now, if I'm lying, tell me I'm lying. But if I ain't lying, put you ain't lying in the comments. Some of you guys right now, the major source of your stress, the thing that's taking up your mental real estate, the thing that's consuming you is your career. It is your contribution to society. It either feels misaligned, you don't feel self-actualized, you don't feel like your gifts and talents are being optimized. And if that is you, it's not that you're not moving because you don't have options. You're not moving because of the fear of the unknown, right? Because I went to my 9 to 5 and I was like, I just got approved to work at the United States Embassy in one of the most beautiful cities in the world in Rome. And they told me, we are not going to hold your job. We're not going to promise you're going to have a job when you get back. And I had a decision to make, y'all. I had a decision to make. Now, I had to decide whether or not I was going to bet on God, what we call a faith play, or I was going to bet on what the world tells me I should do and just stay at my 9 to 5 so I don't lose my health insurance and I don't lose my 401k, what we call a safe play. So I had a choice between a faith play and a safe play. And y'all know what I did. Yeah, let's not even, well, we ain't got to leave y'all in suspense. You know, I quit that 9 to 5. I took the job at the United States Embassy in Rome, Italy. And when I say job, what I really mean is unpaid internship. And not only did I give up my health benefits and my 401k, I went a step further. I cashed out my 401k, took the penalty just to pay for my apartment in Rome. I'm just saying, I decided to not just, listen to me closely, I decided to not just believe in God, but to trust God and eliminate the stress as opposed to playing it safe and staying where I knew I didn't belong. I forgot to tell y'all to bring emotional support tea. I'm used to going live on Mondays, Monday mornings. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Somebody, if it's not too late, just pause me and run and get some emotional support tea because I'm about to say something that's going to hurt your feelings. The reason you're stressed out in your career is not because you ain't got choices. It's not because your backup is up against the wall. It's not because you don't have any options. It's not because this is the only job on the planet that you qualified for. It's because you believe in God, but you don't trust God, and so all your plays are safe. mm. I didn't make no tea. Child, I got emotional support water today. Okay, I meant to tell y'all to bring a beverage. All your plays are safe. Okay, so in order for you to be able to eliminate stress, all your plays can't be safe. Some of them got to be faith plays. So the second area that your girl eliminated chronic stress was in my career. Make sure you're keeping up. The first area was in my health. I got sick of thinking about my body. As a matter of fact, I tell people often when I do speaking engagements, teaching specifically about health and weight and lifestyle disease, I tell people the main reason I lost weight is because I got sick of thinking about losing weight. I just wanted to buy back my mental real estate. And then I don't think it's a coincidence, y'all, that once I got the body confidence and I felt amazing in my skin and I had the body confidence, and I'm like, you can't tell your girl nothing. I don't think it's a coincidence that the exact same year, listen to this, 2012, the exact same year that I hired Tiff as my personal trainer and lost my first 30 pounds. This didn't happen when I lost the 65. This happened after my first 30 pounds. I don't think it's a coincidence that that's the same year that I turned in my letter of resignation at my 9 to 5 and made a faith play into my future. I took an unpaid position, unpaid for only 3 months in a whole nother country, and decided I was going to figure it out as I go. Now, I'm not telling everybody to take that big of a leap. It just depends on how much you believe and trust God. But what I am telling you is what you need to stop doing. Y'all know I'm bossy. So, yes, I'm pointing my finger and saying what you need to do. These are not suggestions, okay? Is you need to stop. You need to stop thinking that you have no options. The truth is, you're too scared to exercise the options you have. There's a difference between not having options and an unwillingness to exercise the options you have. So the second area that I eliminated stress in is in my career. I left my 9 to 5. I took an unpaid internship. Now, mind you, I left my 9 to 5 in 2012. I haven't worked for a company or organization, nothing, since 2012. I didn't even start my business. I didn't start this company here that we're here right now with until 2015. So there was 3 years between when I left my 9 to 5 and when I started my company. I worked as a personal trainer. After I moved into Italy, I then moved to China. Like it was a time was had, okay? And so I I need y'all to know that you got options. It's just that you are too afraid to exercise them. So stop telling these stories. Stop complaining. Stop venting, acting like the only option you have is to be miserable at your job. That is not what God intended. That's not the plan that was laid out. You are just deciding not to exercise, even entertain, even look into and research other options because you have a limiting belief that's telling you this is all it is and this is all it ever will be. And I have to be stuck. And this is my only way of providing for my family and keeping a roof over our head. You got options. You got options. Okay, that's the second way I eliminated chronic stress. It started with my health, it started with my weight. Then I left my 9 to 5. The next area I eliminated chronic stress. Now, this is where you want to pick up your emotional support beverage. I'm about to talk to some of y'all and I'm going to get in your business and I hope you don't get offended, okay? Um, you're deciding to stay in broken relationships that are only serving the other person because your confidence is so low, or shame covers you every time you think about leaving it, or you're worried about what other people will think when you make an adjustment in your current relationship to make you happy. And so as a result, you're deciding to stay in a relationship that's keeping you stuck. It's not blissful. Matter of fact, it hasn't been for years. And so you are deciding that it's not safe to make a different decision. You're deciding it's not safe to have a conversation with this person. You're deciding it's not safe to pack up and leave. You're deciding that it's not safe. The third area that I eliminated stress in, y'all, was in my relationship. I was engaged to be married. I took that ring off. I gave it back. I said, this ain't my forever person. That takes a lot of courage, especially if you already accepted the ring and been married many, many years. Many of you are struggling in the area of relationship. It's not healthy. It's not blissful. It is your source of stress, but you are definitely afraid of making the decision that God has already told you to make. Now, I'm telling you right now, you cannot manage a dysfunctional relationship for years and expect to be optimal mentally, physically, or emotionally. The third area that I eliminated chronic stress in was in my relationship. I walked away and was willing to trust God, not just believe in God, that something better was coming. That something better was coming. How many of you, it's your relationship? Put a one in the chat if you're willing to be honest. If you're coming down to the confessional today, put a one in the chat if you know that, yeah, my source of stress is a personal relationship and I am not exactly making the moves I need to make or having the conversations I need to have or advocating for myself or speaking up. I keep muting myself because I call it keeping the peace. How many of you are currently muting yourself in a personal relationship to quote unquote keep the peace, not realizing that it's impossible to keep peace that you don't have? You're muting yourself. You're not making decisions. You're not making bold moves because you're trying to keep the peace. But did you know you can't keep nothing you don't have? How you don't have peace and you trying to keep the peace, right? And so the third area that I eliminated stress in was in a personal relationship. Child, I'm like, I can't keep having the same conversation. And let me be clear about this, guys. Like, I left a relationship that was not like we were best friends, like we were super cool, like it wasn't any crazy relationship drama. It was just like, I got a vision of life that looks like this, you have a vision of life that looks like that, maybe we're just better off being besties, right? So it wasn't even dramatic, but innately I knew, right? Instinctively I knew, right? The God voice, I knew, right? And so I need you guys to be honest about what isn't and it isn't working. And I don't care if it's a romantic relationship, a familial relationship, a work relationship. If you have a relationship in your life that's taking up a lot of mental real estate, where everybody needs to be in the real estate business before you leave here today. That's what I came to tell you for real. Whatever is taking up mental real estate, you have to stop just letting it be. You have to stop thinking you're going to just manage the situation. Impossible. It's killing you. It's killing you, right? And so understand, guys, it is not enough to just manage. You have to make bigger and tougher decisions and you have to make faith play. So that's the third area that I eliminated stress in, was in a personal relationship. I am so blissful now. Everything is like thank God I did, right? Because it opens you up to other opportunities and what's really for you. But if you decide to be like, what are people gonna think if we break up? What are people gonna think if we get a divorce? What are people gonna, what, I don't know if I could be single. Nobody's gonna want me. This is the only way I'm gonna get somebody who remotely kind of likes me even though they suck, but I'm not lovable. The dating pool is, everybody's taking on this notion that the dating pool is small and there's no available candidates and it's messy out here. All the stuff you're telling yourself to stay in a dysfunctional relationship makes no sense, right? So take back your mental real estate. Take back your mental real estate. Okay, let me tell you guys the fourth area that I eliminated: stress. Bonita says there's some static. How is the audio for everybody else? If the audio is good, drop a one in the chat so we can keep going. Let me know if I need to make some audio adjustments, and I will. Okay, Bonita, it might just be you. Everybody said one, no static. Okay, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Let's get into the fourth area, and then I'm going to play a clip for you guys with me and ET, where we were talking about how stress impacted him recently and what that looked like. And so we're going to have a conversation about that. So let me tell you about this fourth area that I eliminated stress in. Come on, YouTube, y'all coming through. Okay. So here I am, y'all. I done started my business. I done lost over 60 plus pounds. Body is given. I done left a relationship feeling amazing. And so now I done left my 9 to 5. Like, I done started my own business. And so a couple years ago, I was like, I'm out here just doing what I want to do, living my best life, right? And Jillian said the sound is too loud in my business. Amen. Amen. He said, you too loud in my business. That's what's wrong with the sound. Okay. And so I'm out here, right? And I'm just living my best life. And then one day, out of the blue, I was sitting on campus at Wayne State University, and I was in the student center because I was in between classes, right? Because I had this time in my life, I had foolishly decided to go back to school to become a doctor, right? So I'm in the middle of organic chemistry and biology, right? In between classes, wild. And I'm sitting on campus in the student center, and I got my earbuds in, and I'm listening to a podcast, and I'm listening to a podcast, and I'm listening to Les Brown. He's being interviewed by a podcaster. And the podcaster was asking him about his family, his life, and being adopted. And Les, him and his twin brother were adopted. And Les was like, I am so lucky that my mom chose me. Les told that man on that interview that me and my brother were handed over to our biological mother, handed over to our adoptive mother by our biological mother. So the biological mother knew the adoptive mother, and she handed Les and his twin brother over to the adoptive mother. And the biological mother told the adoptive mother, I just need you to make me one promise, right? I'm gonna give you my babies. I can't take care of them. I want you to take care of them. And the biological mom told the adoptive mom, I just need you to make me one promise, which is you will never separate them as brothers. Like, you will keep them together. Now, this was meaningful to me, having worked as a foster care worker, because when siblings get taken out of homes, they are often separated, right? That's not even a point in my story, but that's probably the reason why I remember it, because the biological mother knew enough to know, like, I'm going to give you my kids, but please don't separate them, right? They need to stay together as siblings. And I thought that was dope. So anyway, but the thing that triggered me, that led to me eliminating another area of stress, is when Les said, I am so blessed to have been chosen by my adoptive mother. Now, in that moment, as I'm sitting in the student center on the Wayne campus of Wayne State University, tears started streaming down my face, because I had a memory of not being chosen by my biological father. Him and my mom were married. They got a divorce when I was about 2 years old. That's when my mom left my dad. And they co parented for a while. They did some visitation, and then he just stopped, and I never saw him again. And I didn't even know it was a thing until I was sitting on this campus at Wayne State University listening to a stranger talk about being chosen, and it triggered the abandonment inside of me. And I started crying, and I was like, oh my God, this must mean something, right? Because the body keeps the score, apparently. That's what the books tell us. And so I had to do something about this immediately immediate feeling of abandonment. And so I decided to get into therapy. I decided to start working through these feelings I had about not having my biological father in my life. And I got into therapy and I started talking about, I have this I'm not enough syndrome. And the reason I always like accomplish things and do all these great things because I'm trying to chase my father's love and I want to do enough to make him love me, even though I don't know where he is in the world, why he left, what's going on, right? And I started the therapeutic process and I begin the process of healing from childhood disappointment so that I didn't carry that luggage into every relationship thereafter. The fourth area that I eliminated stress in was healing from childhood disappointment. Listen to me very carefully, y'all. This is serious business because y'all really out here, we really out here, believe in these people that tell us that we should be managing these situations. I don't believe in managing something that can be eliminated. So now, what would it look like to actually start working on the things that are taking up mental real estate? What would it look like to actually go ahead and dig into, explore, or what I like to call in our stress elimination lab, excavate the deep rooted feelings, unhealed situations that you have because they are constantly impacting your life today, and we don't realize it until we start doing that excavation. I went to therapy. I started talking through what it felt like to be abandoned by my biological father. And I went the extra mile because your girl, as I mentioned earlier, is a bit of an overachiever, if that's even a real thing. I also feel like that's a lie we've been told. How you gonna be an overachiever? But anyway, I'm in upper management of achieving. And I decided to not just go to therapy for it. I hired a private investigator to find this fool. I said, find the fool so I can get answers. And I got my answer indeed, right? And so I decided that I wasn't just going to sit on a bed of question marks. All right. I decided that I was going to work through this unhealed part of me that was certainly impacting me as a full grown adult, work through the feelings I had about my biological dad not choosing me. Shout out to Les Brown. Somebody tell that man he's still making impact. My biological dad didn't choose me, and I decided to do something about it. Instead of just randomly crying about it whenever the moment hits, I decided to go deeper. I decided to get in therapy. I decided to unpack what it meant. What would it mean to find him? What would it mean to find him and get abandoned again? Because that's exactly what happened. Like, how do I get closure around this so I can move into my role as a leader in my company and not have the spirit of abandonment, so that I can move into my next relationship and not have a spirit of abandonment, so that I can move through goals and not have a spirit of abandonment. You don't know what spirit is inside of you until you work through the stuff that hurts you. Okay, y'all? So the fourth area that I eliminated stress in, instead of managing hurt, I worked through all the feelings, and now I can unequivocally say, hand to God, that I am healed from my biological father not choosing me. It don't bother me to talk about it. I don't feel a certain way. I don't show up all weird in relationships about it. I'm not trying to date my daddy. Like, it's not, I did the work. Okay. And so maybe that one is for you. What work do you need to do in order to heal from the thing? Maybe somebody that violated you, maybe somebody that abandoned you, maybe you're still grieving the loss of something, maybe you're grieving the loss of someone, maybe you failed, maybe you've been humiliated, maybe you've been betrayed, maybe you have shame about deeds you've done. Baby, you got to do the work. Stop trying to manage it. Stop just eating every time you feel it. Stop just having a drink every time you feel it. Stop just impulse shopping. Stop being promiscuous. Stop, like, start doing the healing work so that you can stop walking with this great cloud over you. And then you can show up like me, belly rolling on somebody's screen because you ain't got nothing to worry about. I ain't got no worries. I don't care who judging. You going to get this belly roll. I ain't you lose 65 pounds to be sitting up under here in a hoodie all day. Honey. Then you can get on here and not care what nobody thinks. You can get on here and be confident. You cannot be worried about my dad abandoned me, and so all men go abandon me, and I got to be all dysfunctional in relationships. Anyway, that was the fourth area that I eliminated stress. Did that bless somebody? Did our warm up? Somebody say warm up. Don't you hate when you go to the gym and you're working with the personal trainer? Honey, they done killed you for 10 minutes talking about that was just a warm up. Child, it's this one class I go to at Lifetime. I be like, sir, every time I go to his class, he talking about not that y'all warm. I said, warm? We blazing hot. Let me out of here. Why is the class 60 minutes? You just killed us in the first 10. But anyway, now that the warm up is over, let's get into let's get into this clip that I want to show y'all with my coach, Dr. Eric Thomas. I hope that bless y'all. I'm about to play this clip for y'all, okay? And I'm gonna play this clip, and it's about 7 minutes. It's about 7 minutes. And it is where I recently sat down and he and I were in a conversation about stress. And Coach talks about in this clip that y'all are about to watch. This is a completely unreleased interview. We haven't released it yet. Matter of fact, it's gonna be released, I think, in about 2 weeks. And this in this clip, Dr. Eric Thomas is talking about the physical toll that stress took on his body. Now, me personally, and he's been my coach for years, I've been rocking with him for years. I personally had never even heard the full details of this story, right? So I thought it was extremely compelling. So if you guys are ready to watch this 7 minute clip and hear ET talk about the physical toll that chronic stress took on his body so that you guys can understand the impact of not doing anything about it. Just put, okay, Laverne, there we go. Just put let's go in the chat. Just put let's go in the chat. And I'm going to share this clip with y'all. Just put let's go in the chat and let me know that you're ready. Like you settled in, right? You settled in, you comfortable. We all warmed up. We all warmed up. We all warmed up. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Okay, here we go. So I'm about to play the clip. I'm going to hush up so you guys can watch it. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about it. This full interview will be released in about 2 weeks. The full conversation, I think it's about 2 weeks. It's July something, July 20 something. It's going to be released on my YouTube channel. But watch this clip, and then we're going to talk about the physical impact that stress has on your body right after. And then we're going to cut off the live stream on YouTube, and we'll go into Q&A. So that's the plan for the next 20 minutes or so. All right. So I'm about to share my screen, and we are going to watch this clip. Okay. Beautiful. Here we go, y'all. Your peace
No question.
What was the result of trying to live with two different standards? The standard you personally live by, standard you tried to uphold for other people that wasn't the standard you wanted to live by, but you thought you were doing them a favor. Like, as a result, what did that produce?
So, and again, I'm not a medic. I'm not into the medical field, so I don't want to misdiagnose or give it a wrong name. But I would have times in my life where I would literally be speaking, and I'm not going to, over exaggerate it, but it still wasn't healthy. I would have a moment in my speaking that my left side of my face would just, like, I couldn't talk. Like, I just couldn't talk. I remember one time I did it, I actually walked out. So just in case it was worse than what it was, I didn't want nobody to see it. So I actually walked out. And then I walked back in and finished. So that's why I wasn't tripping, because I finished. But that would happen to me, like, I don't remember, like, in the span of maybe like 5 years, it would happen 2 or 3 times a year. And so I was like, okay, this not healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I go see the doctor. They got the questions. You smoke? Nah. When you stop smoking? I was like, I ain't never smoked. You drink? Nah. When you stop drinking? I ain't never drank. You eat pork? Nah. I ain't ate pork since 84. He was like, whoa, okay, well then if you ain't done none of these, it's only one thing that's causing this, and that's got to be stress.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I don't even know what stress you talking about, bro. Like, I don't got no stress. Why? Because it had become a part of you know what I'm saying? The face boy had become a part of my, but here's when I knew, like, okay, I gotta figure it out now. Before it was kind of like it went away, so I'm good. But when my grandmother died, and it happened, I was with Dee, and we were outside, and I was like, first time I ever told her. She was like, "You good?" I was like, "Nah." I just shook my head like, "No, I'm not good." And she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I can't talk." Like, she knew. I was like, "I can't talk." And so she's like, "Are we taking you to the hospital?" That was the first time I really went. And when I got there, they were like, "We're gonna keep you overnight." And they was like, we didn't find nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was gonna give you a shot when you first came in, but it was like, we ain't find nothing. But they did a CAT scan. And so they was like, look, this was probably 10 years ago. I don't know what they said, but with the time frame they said, I remember I was at Michigan State, my last class, he was like, look, you either got to do this paper over again or I'm gonna fail you. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it over again. But I remember like doing this whole paper and hearing him say, and that was the first time it happened. But I didn't know what it was, but because it wasn't long. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I got in the car and I felt something, went in the house, and I was good. So, but that was the first time. But when the doctor said, "Hey, when we did a CAT scan, nothing serious, but we saw a little mass. We don't know what it is, we know that it was stress. Like we can't tell you that it was whatever because you look like you straight, but something happened and it left that mark on your brain. And I knew it was that class and the stress from that class. And so it was like, all right, E, this is God showing you. And then we had somebody at our church who had a stroke, right? So that person had a stroke, lost their ability to like words. Like there's certain words, and they're a word master. And I was like, ooh, and then around that time, Jamie Foxx had gone through whatever. I don't know what Jamie was going through, but I knew it was rough because he was in it. And I just assumed it's probably something around the stroke boy. You feel me? And then Didi started saying, like after we left the hospital, Didi started saying, Eric, it's the silent killer. Like you keep telling me you don't feel it. You keep telling me you good. I feel you, but I'm trying to tell you. That's why they call it the silent boy. And so I was like, all right, cool. So to me, that was when my grandmother passed and it happened, I knew stress. Before I didn't know that was stress. I knew grandma was stressed because they lied and told me she's out, she's good. And then they called me back and was like, she didn't make it. And I knew I was stressed because I was like, I was in Chicago and I didn't go to the hospital because my grandma was like, boy, I'm good. I'll go through this. She ain't never been sick before. And so the stress was, you missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
You should have gone. And so I knew that was stress.
Okay.
And so went to the hospital the whole nine. So after that, I was like, okay, God, I still don't know what to do per se, but I know something is wrong and I need to do something about it.
So what was the point where you were like, all right, something got to change?
Yeah.
I'm trying to uphold two different standards, one for me and one for the people I lead.
Yeah.
Right? So it's manifesting in my health.
Yeah.
Right? It's impacting different areas of my life. So what made you finally say, I'm about to do something different?
New information.
What was that?
A challenge. I don't even remember the name of it. You got to tell me. I don't even know the name of it.
So that was the moment, like
Yeah.
when we did
for
at
sure.
APOC last September.
No question.
Okay, so APOC last September.
Yeah.
What I do a 5-day.
Yeah, maybe a 5-day challenge.
Yeah, I did a 5-day health
Yeah.
challenge with the church.
Yeah.
Right, and then you got some new information.
Yeah.
And you was like, okay, I'm about to
Day
take
one.
different decisions.
Yeah, day
Oh, we
one.
nice out the part on day one.
Oh, day
Oh,
one.
won't he will. Okay.
Oh, day one.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, two things happened. I got the information, and I heard people refuting the information, and that's how I knew it was real. That's how I knew it was real. I was like, I just heard something. And then I hear people, you know how people do they, and I was like, oh no, this is real because they are fighting it.
Ooh.
So this is real. Because I didn't know at first. I was like, maybe what she just said is right. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to be right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of what I'm going through. But when I saw grown people like fighting it, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is, got it, Lord. I hear you.
Listen. Did y'all catch it? Did you hear it? The impact of chronic stress, right? The impact of chronic stress. So during that clip, y'all, Coach broke down a couple of things, right? He shared how he had a physical response to the stress that happened repeatedly. And then he talked about all the different things, stressful situations that triggered it, right? He had school situation writing a paper. He had disappointment for not being at the hospital when his grandma passed. He talked about speaking and it impacting his speaking. Now, if you know ET, then you know that he speaks for a living, but he was experiencing repeatedly moments where the left side of his face would just freeze and he was unable to speak. So I said in the interview, you guys will hear it We released the entire conversation. But I said, oh, it started impacting your gift. Listen, it started impacting your gift. If we're not careful, stress can attack everything. If we're not careful, if we don't do the, if we stop trying to manage the situation and actually do the work of this eliminate exit strategy, enter strategy, engagement strategy, those of you who have been listening to my stress content for a while, you know I teach that we need an exit, enter, or engagement strategy from chronic stress. It's not a matter of just breathing. It's not a matter of just yoga. It's not a matter of just meditation and prayer. It's not a matter of just taking time off. It's not a matter of just self care. If you're still going back to the dysfunctional marriage, if you're still going back to the horrible job, if you're still dealing with the disappointment, the childhood stuff that you ain't healed from, it's okay to take some time off from it, but that's management of it. It doesn't solve the problem. You know, okay, grab your emotional support beverage real quick for this next thing I'm about to say. You know what I liken it to when you guys try and manage stress? The same way many of you have been living with high blood pressure for 20 years. The same way many of you have been living with type 2 diabetes. Did you know that that was reversible? I'm not even being facetious. Did you know that these conditions are curable, but you are making a conscious choice to just manage your diabetes? Like, I'm just going to check my sugar every time. I'm just going to get on a scale and manage my obesity. Let's just make sure it doesn't go any further. Like, I'm just going to routinely and ritualistically take my pills every day to manage this high cholesterol, to manage this high blood pressure. I'm just going to make sure I get my steroid shot to manage this autoimmune condition. That's the same thing we're doing with stress. We have a management spirit. But instead, guys, there's bigger actions you can take. There's decisions you can make that can put these things in remission. You can be off the medication instead of making sure you don't miss a day of taking the medication. Like, you can get rid of the weight instead of making sure that every time you buy clothes, you layer up so people can't see all your love handles. Like, you could just stop dealing with that. That's a real reality that you can experience. So the same way you're managing these decisions, these circumstances in your life is the same way you're probably managing disease. We just got a spirit of management. Let me just make sure it doesn't get worse. What if we made sure it got better? Just anyway, that's just a suggestion. Anyway, listen, before we end the YouTube live stream and get into Q&A, I want to leave you guys with 4 ways that stress impacts you so that you guys will understand. Now, you just heard my coach ET talk about how it impacted him, right? Physically. And in that conversation, we got into solutions. And so when that full episode drops, if you guys are on my email list, if you're subscribed on the YouTube channel, you will get the full interview and you can listen to the whole conversation. But I want to tell you 4 ways that stress significantly compromises your well being. The first one is your immune system. Somebody write this down or put it in the chat. I know I got avid note takers. Wanda, where you at in the chat? Immunity. So for a lot of us, we have normalized getting colds every year. We've normalized when the seasons change, where it gets cold and things are switching over. We're just used to, oh, I'm gonna sneeze, I'm gonna cough, all of this stuff is gonna be acting up. That's not because it's supposed to happen. That is because your immune system has been compromised. There's a plethora of things that can compromise your immune system, but consistently high levels of cortisol, stress hormones, is one of them. Because when you are chronically stressed and your body is constantly being flooded with stress hormones, it's sending a signal to your brain that you are in danger. And when your brain gets that signal that danger is looming, it literally turns the volume down on all other systems in the body, including the immune system, the endocrine system, the digestive system. Everything is compromised when you're stressed. So when we do our 5-day stress elimination lab, I think it's on like day 3 or 4 where I teach this mechanism. I literally show how stress can eventually turn into a diagnosis because the stress hormones flood your body. It lowers the vibrational frequency of the body and makes every system of your body more susceptible to pathogens, to disease. And sometimes there's stuff that's just lying dormant, like cancer. And then we get stressed and boom, it has a green light to go full blown because our immune system, it was already weak. The stress hormones weakened it more, and we don't have the capacity to defend. The body doesn't have the capacity to defend itself. And so the first area, if you want to avoid your stress turning into disease or diagnosis, you have to make the tough decisions, have the conversation, make the faith plays and not just the safe plays, or else that stressful thing is going to continue to escalate. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense? Okay, so it can turn into cancer, it can turn into an autoimmune condition, it can turn into obesity, it can turn into heart disease, it can turn into diabetes. It can, it can turn into um, reproductive health challenges. I'm not even gonna get into that with my women, with my men, right? Like you can't perform sexually. Like it can turn into a lot. Thank you, Terry. Lupus, autoimmune condition. Like it can turn into a lot. I need you guys to understand that all health challenges don't come just from like diet, exercise, whatever. A lot of it comes from stress, right? And it also can turn into premature death. Like stress has the ability to shave 3 to 5 years off your life expectancy. So when you hear me preaching and yelling at y'all about making bigger, bolder decisions as opposed to choosing to stay in situations because you're too scared to move, it is for this reason. It is because I know what's at risk. I also know what's at bliss. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I might have to freak that out a little bit. I know what's at risk and I know what's at bliss, meaning because I've done the work to eliminate the stress, I know what's on the other side of making the bigger decisions, right? And so I know what's at risk: disease, premature death, disability, a life where you just don't feel where you don't feel fulfilled. And then I know what's at bliss: when you do the hard work to get rid of the weight, when you do the hard work to leave the toxic relationship, when you do the hard work to leave the 9 to 5 and do what you're really meant to do. Like I also know what's on the other side of that because you're looking at it. Okay. All right. Number two, the second way that chronic stress significantly impacts you is your ability to make decisions. Okay, let's talk about your decision making skill. This is very biological, right? This is just pure science. When you have cortisol and adrenaline constantly flooding the body, okay, it compromises your ability to make reasoning decisions because, again, the body detects stress hormones. The detection sends a signal to the brain saying we're in danger. And the brain responds by saying, oh, we in danger? Oh, we don't have time to process and reason. The only option we have here is to react. So that means instead of using your reasoning skills, your brain switches over into your reactive brain, right? And then you are now making decisions from a reactive place instead of reasoning place. All right. And so, what that means is that you are not making the best decisions, not the healthiest decisions when you are chronically stressed, which is very dangerous because decision making, as we know, unhealthy decision making can really be a snowball effect. Okay. And so if you are not able to think clearly because you're overwhelmed and stressed out, you're at the height of an emotion. Like imagine like driving down the street, and then you're approaching an intersection and the light is green for you, so you're about to go through the intersection, and then like out of your peripheral you see a car. Don't look like it's slowing down. The light is clearly red for them because it's green for you, but it doesn't look like it's slowing down. And so you instantly, what happens in the body as you are watching you and this other car approach the intersection at the same time, and it could possibly turn into a collision. It is your body reacts. You don't think in that moment, do you? What do? You either slam on a brake, you quickly yank the steering wheel, like you react. Now, imagine that every day in your life. Every time something your kid does something, you just react. Every time your partner says something that irritates you, you just react. On the job, when things ain't going as planned, or y'all short staff, or people trying to put more work on you than you can, you just react. In life, one thing goes wrong. You come home and your coat sleeve gets stuck on the door handle. You flip out. You just react. You can't handle nothing. Why? Because your brain is in reactive mode because you have these stress hormones flooding the body, right? And so you can't think. You can't think clearly. You can't think properly. Your decision making is compromised. This is very serious. This is very serious. Your decision making is compromised. So that's the second way that stress compromises you if you don't do something about it immediately. Immediately, okay? Here's the third way. The third way that stress compromises you is, I already mentioned lifestyle disease, but I'm just going to say it again. Disease and diagnosis is very, very, very common for someone who's been stressed for a very long time. Let me give you guys like a visual of, you've seen individuals like this. And some of you might be dealing with this, but have you ever seen somebody who's like overweight, but they carry the majority of their weight in their midsection? So like your arms and your legs actually might be pretty lean, but you're round and robust in the middle. That's because the overwhelming majority of our stress receptors are in the midsection. So people that carry almost the majority of their weight in their gut area, in their midsection, could be an indication that there's more stress hormones flooding the body, right? So when you have a really, really big gut, the bigger the gut, the more increased risk for things like diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure. So the more weight you carry in the middle, the more dangerous it is when it comes to your health, right? And so that is the third way that stress impacts you. It it adds weight to you. Those stress receptors are causing you to hold on to that visceral fat. And as a result, you are now candidate for a diagnosis. You are now a candidate for a diagnosis. Very serious stuff. So, stress can lead to disease, stress can lead to compromised decision making, stress leads to a compromised immune system. And the final way that I wanted to share with you guys today that stress impacts you is a loss of self control. How many of you have been like trying to do better in some area of your life? It could be like I'm trying to eat better. It can be like I'm trying to manage my money better and my spending habits better. It could be like I'm trying to be more diligent and focused when I want to work on my business or my book or something that I'm creating. I'm creative. Like, but you have a hard time like sticking to the plan you have of being more regimented. Put me in the chat if you really struggle with what you call self discipline or consistency. That's the language you guys use. Coach, help me. I'm not consistent. I'm not disciplined. I'm not disciplined. I'm not consistent. Put me in the chat if you struggle with consistency and discipline when it comes to goals or habits that you're trying to. Yes. Okay. Very good. Very good. Yes. Okay. So, unequivocally, without a doubt, again, this is biology, right? When you are stressed, chronically stressed. So, and the reason I just keep saying chronically stressed, y'all, because I can't assume that all of you guys listen to my teachings all the time. All stress isn't bad. So acute stress is very healthy for us. Chronic stress is the one I'm talking about, which is the type of stress that kills. So what I'm advocating for and teaching you guys is how to eliminate chronic stress. Acute stress, that short-lived purposeful stress, is healthy, right? But the chronic stuff like, oh my God, I've been at this job for years, or I've been in this relationship for years, or I haven't healed from this thing and it's literally been following me around in life and taking up mental real estate. It's not purposeful, it's not meaningful, there's no end date in sight. That's the type of stress that kills. And the reason this is important is because when your body is constantly hyperactive, when your nervous system is constantly overactive, you also lose your ability to have self control, or what we like to call impulse control. So, impulse control is the fourth one, the loss of impulse control. So, what's another way that stress impacts my health and my well being? The loss of impulse control. Like you're trying your best to resist that sleeve of cookies, but you can't. You can't. Like you do good for most of the day, but eventually you cave. You do good for most of the week, but eventually you said you was gonna stay away from the alcohol. You can't do it. You said you're gonna stay away from the chips. You can't do it. You said you're just gonna stop Netflix and chilling and finally get consistently workout. You do a few workouts, then you fall off again. Check in with stress. A lot of times we think that one thing has nothing to do with the other. But the fact that you are miserable in your career is also the reason why you can't let go of the potato chips. The fact that you are miserable in your relationships is also the reason why you can't exercise consistently. Like the fact that you don't feel like you're doing meaningful and purposeful work is also the reason why you can't focus and start that business. Like, I need you to understand that biologically there's a loss of impulse control when your nervous system is overactive, when you are constantly being flooded with stress hormones. Does that make sense, everybody? So I needed to pull it together and get you guys to see the body, the mind, the spirit is impacted with chronic stress. It's impacted with chronic stress, and it's so dangerous. Does that make sense? Okay, I got a yes in the chat. Now listen, we're about to go into Q&A. We're about to go into Q&A, which means we're going to stop streaming on um, YouTube. So YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube right now, the link to join us here in the Zoom room, if you want to be able to answer or ask questions or listen to other people's questions and just get more teachings, then click the link that's in the comments right now. If you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the comments to join us in the Zoom room. We're about to go into a private Q&A. Before we do that, I need you guys, for those of you who are now understanding the weight of this stuff, I want you guys to join me in my next stress elimination lab. It's starting August 10th to the 14th. This is a 5-day lab that I do maybe every couple of months. And it is your opportunity. It is your opportunity to begin the stress elimination process. Okay. So I'm going to drop the link for the stress elimination lab in the chat for those of you who know you need to get to the bottom of this and stop managing that which is meant to be eliminated. Okay. Um, Thank you, Terry. Terry done took the stress elimination lab twice already. 2 times. Where's the Fuji's when you need them? 2 times. Okay, and so going on 3. Okay, so listen, we're about to go into Q&A. So those of you who are already in the Zoom room, we have about 50 of you guys in the Zoom room right now. If you already know your question, get your hand up and get in the queue. Get in the queue. Get in the queue if you know you have questions. I'm probably going to do about 30 minutes of Q&A. So get in the queue and let's prepare to get your questions answered. If you're on YouTube, drop the link to the Zoom room is already in the chat. So we're about to go into Q&A. I'm going to stop the live stream so that we can protect the privacy of people here in the Zoom room. This is where it's about to get juicy. This is after hours because when we get into Q&A, baby, that's when you giving me permission to coach you. And so that's where it really gets juicy. All right. That's where it really gets juicy. So thank you to everybody on YouTube. If you're coming over to the Zoom room, we'll see you soon. If not, thank